Hey, it is here at last. Up Here Festival has finally kicked itself off. This is your host, Jessica, reporting from our crater with a very special edition of Crater Conversations covering Up Here Festival happening right now in our downtown core here in Sudbury. If you're walking down Durham Street today, you can check out all sorts of fun and crazy things, and it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going all weekend long, so keep your ears peeled. And hey, if you haven't downloaded the Up Here app yet, you can check that out on Google Play as well as the App Store to make sure that you're getting all your updates straight to your phone, because you never know what's going to be happening. You never know when they're going to have a pop-up show, some sort of a surprise. You definitely want to stay informed. If you're not familiar with our crater, check us out online at www.ourcrater.com. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter to make sure that you're up to date with everything exciting and fun that's happening in Sudbury. That's what we're here for, to make sure that you Sudburyans know what fun things are happening and what things you can do to be involved in your community. So we cover all sorts of different topics, ranging from different events that are happening, Sudburyans we think you should know about, local shopping options, all sorts of different fun stuff. So make sure you are up to date as well. We are going to be hitting the festival all weekend long, so make sure you are following us on Instagram for posts on our Instagram story that you can follow along with. And hey, if you see us at the fest, come say hello. As well, look around the festival for our Crater Conversation cards. We are doing this show this weekend for a special coverage for Up Here Festival, but you can catch Crater Conversations regularly in our regular format every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, where we interview all sorts of different Sudburyans about their passions and their projects and what they're doing to make our community so much better. A few of our past episodes recently have been with Meg Pant from Northern Mamas. We've talked with John McHenry from STC. We've spoken with Alessandro Constantini from Yes Theater, Starlet Dresden from Starlet Satine Vintage. We've covered all sorts of different topics, so definitely check out some of our back episodes on ourcrater.com to make sure you're up to date, and tune in every week on Tuesdays to hear who we're talking to next. So we've been working on some special coverage for the festival this week to make sure that you get some backstory on the fest and make sure that you are all ready to celebrate your Sudbury pride. Our first interview we have up here is with Johanna Westby. She is a local illustrator and designer. She's been working very, very hard on a mural up at the Van Horn Fire Hall, which has been turning out so great. I don't know about you, if you spend any time in the downtown core. I've been driving past it every day and observing as it's continued on, and it was beautiful. I'm really excited to see what the final product's going to look like. But she was kind enough to sit down with us for a few minutes and talk about her design. So she was just elected this year as one of the muralists for the festival, but you might actually remember back from the very first Up Fest, when it was that Up Fest for that one very first year. She was one of the people that was in charge of the cement mixer project, so painting a mural on a cement mixer that was revolving all throughout the weekend. So super cool project, and you might have even in the months following the the very first edition of the festival 4 years ago, even seen that cement truck on the road. I've heard a few funny stories of people seeing it on the road and being very surprised. So we were very thankful to talk with Johanna as she very, very busily and diligently painted away on her wall, but took a very short break to speak with us. So listen in for that, and we will be back with even more Up Here Festival coverage. With us today, we have one of such a muralist, Johanna Westby, who just completed her mural on the Van Horn Fire Station. So thanks for sitting with us, Johanna.
Well, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So tell us about how you got involved to begin with in the selection process to be a muralist for the festival this year.
Well, it's been really exciting being part of the mural project with the Up Here organizers. The organizers are fantastic, and they connected with me and said they wanted to have a mural done, and I was really excited to accept that because I know how much amazing stuff they do in the community, and they really support a lot of artists, both local and bringing in, some really, really heavy hitter muralists and artists and musicians from all over the world. So it was so thrilling to be able to accept being part of that group of people.
Yeah, like good company to be in, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, did you get to select which wall you were going to paint, or were you just assigned the location?
So we got the opportunity. I was asked to just kind of go around and see if there's anything that sort of looked like something I would like to do. And I have my husband is works with the MNR, and so I have a little bit of connection with emergency services, and I really, really have a huge amount of respect for what the emergency service personnel and firefighters, paramedics, and what they do. So I really was connected to that wall, and I'm really excited that I got a chance to do that for them, and also just touring around the downtown core, it struck me as an area that could really use some color, and I'm really excited to be able to put some life with color onto that wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that have maybe driven past on Van Horn and seen it, definitely a very colorful mural. Lots and lots of colors going on there. So what was your process kind of starting to decide what exactly you were going to do with this giant wall?
Well, this is my first exterior mural, and it's for sure the largest piece I've done to date. So it was very difficult to sort of wrap my mind around the scale of it. I think that it's much easier on paper to look at a design and say, oh, well, this is what I'll paint on this theoretical wall. But to do it in practice is much more complicated. There's a lot of challenges that were presented. So it was started with a drawing. Actually, it started with several drawings and conceptualizing and figuring out what would make the most sense, and making sure that the concept was approved, and then just trying to figure out how that could be applied to the wall. I mean, there's all sorts of challenges with doing a mural because there's things that maybe aren't totally foreseen. The quality of the wall, the roughness of the surface, the things like that can kind of throw a wrench into the works.
Absolutely. So you must have encountered quite a few technical difficulties like that. I mean, it's a completely new surface that you're working with. So how was the process overall of creating the mural?
It was definitely challenging, but it was exciting to look at those challenges and figure out how I was going to get around them or work with them. Certainly the wall, if you go right up to the wall and touch it, it's a very, very porous. It's sort of it's like crushed rock. Almost stucco, so it's a very, very rough surface. So painting that was quite a challenge in terms of, I'm so used to generally in my artwork painting very smooth surfaces, making sure that the paint is very opaque and very consistent. So dealing with that challenge certainly was interesting, but I think that I'm very happy with the outcome and how it was. It sort of translated, and I think certainly from far away it looks really vibrant and had a lot of movement. So that's what I was going for. So I'm very pleased about that.
Awesome. So how long about were you at work on the mural?
I think in total it was 40 hours of painting, and that doesn't include any kind of the conceptual side of things and the design and things like that. But just the on-site, yeah, exactly. And it was interesting. It was. I'm not afraid of heights, but interestingly, I am afraid of being up very, very high in a scissor lift. So apparently that was a new lesson learned for me. But it was. I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to find out a little bit more about myself, challenge myself in ways that I was afraid of, and just got it done anyway. So
yeah, absolutely. Have you received any feedback from the mural so far?
Yes, I'm so thrilled with the feedback. Everything has been very, very positive. It seems that the community in general seems to like it, which is excellent. The fire personnel that was at the fire hall, they were so wonderful, always coming out and asking if I needed anything, or and giving me all sorts of great feedback about the image and things. So, and it's really, it's one of those things. It's really important to me to make sure that the community it feels good about the mural, because it's not just a piece of artwork when I'm doing something for myself and it's just if nobody likes it, it's not a big deal. This is something that everybody has to sort of live with, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of pressure to make something that I felt that people would be pleased with, and making sure that it would enhance their community, as opposed to being something that they didn't want, right? So there was tremendous pressure to make that, to ensure that was going to happen. But I feel like with the feedback that I got, and the excitement that sort of surrounded while I was painting, I really feel like hopefully the community is pleased with it, and that it improves the quality of life in that area of town, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've accumulated quite a few different murals around our downtown core. Are there any that stand out to you as maybe some of your favorites?
Oh my goodness, there are so many beautiful murals. And just driving around downtown, it's becoming such a, you're at every corner you can say, oh, there's one, and they're so different, and they're so beautiful in their own ways. I couldn't possibly pick a favorite, but certainly there are murals by some not just international people, but extremely talented local artists, like Tracy Baker's mural at Memorial Park, and Danielle Daniels' mural on the, I'm not sure what street, I think it's Minto Street, the one with the woman with the antlers. There's also Nelly Nenkova's on the Kingsway, which is a beautiful mural. It's on that sort of cement thing as you're driving by. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm missing some that people just blow me away. But it's just wonderful to see that the Up Here organizers have not only reached out to international, like incredibly famous artists who are extremely talented and do such unique and interesting work. Now we're on this sort of international stage with these artists, having local artists having the opportunity to participate. And I feel so humbled by the fact that I got to be able to be one of the muralists. Having finished my mural and then going over to check out the mural by the really, really prolific and incredibly talented Birdo. His wall is just incredible.
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
It is a must-see. It is a beautiful, beautiful mural. But things like, being able to have connection to that in that I'm sort of part of that group of people this year that was fortunate enough to work on this. I feel very, very pleased, and I really, really appreciate the organizers of Up Here giving me that opportunity.
Absolutely. This jam-packed weekend full of fun stuff to check out. Are there any performers or shows that you're looking forward to yourself?
Well, with kids, I am most looking forward to the Family Day. That is always very fun. There's lots of great opportunities for all ages, I think, and I think that's really what I like about the Up Here Festival. It appeals to a lot of different demographics, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to the most, I think.
Yeah, awesome. Now, this isn't your first time painting for Up Here Festival. I believe I remember that you were involved with the cement truck mixer in the very first edition of the festival. So can you tell us about
that was challenging for sure.
That was a moving canvas. So tell us about that project versus the mural that you created this year.
Well, I think having had a couple of years of experience in between have certainly helped. The the concrete truck was. I'm not sure if I should say concrete or cement. I'm not sure what is more correct. But anyways, that truck project was difficult in that it was, a three-dimensional surface, which is not terribly easy to work with. But doing a mural that's high, I mean, it wasn't easier or more difficult. It was just a different challenge. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting. I mean, the difference in timeline, for instance, was quite a bit of a difference. I'm very pleased to have had a few more hours to be able to work on this large scale mural. But I think in the very first year, the Up Here Festival was just so new and so exciting in that respect that they were doing something like with the cement truck mixer, which was so different and unusual. And now we're sort of it's exciting to expect the unexpected with the festival. So that's really cool that they're continuing to do murals and things like that, but they always change it up. So you never really know what to expect from them. No. And I've had the fortune in the last couple of years to work with the Up Here organizers and the festival. Being an assistant, I was an assistant to Ella and Peter, who are really famous and fantastic artists from France, and they did the rooftop mural and the I think it was called Sleeping Giant. I could be wrong about that, but the one that was right by the train tracks, yeah. And I was also very fortunate to assist Tracy Baker in her beautiful, the whimsical mural at Memorial Park. So I've had lots of opportunity to be involved with Up Here, and they always bring something really exciting and new to the table. So it's always fun to be part of that, and I'm really pleased to be able to take part as a muralist this year for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Johanna, so where can we find more information about, or where can we track you down to find more information about your illustrations and design work?
I have a website you can certainly check out. It has both my visual art and mural work that I've done, and that is johannawestby.com. That's probably the best. Or you can follow me on Instagram as well, Johanna Westby Design, at Johanna Westby Design.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much for joining us today, Johanna.
Thank you.
Hey there. Welcome back to CKLU 96.7. This is your host, Jess, for Creator Conversations from ourcreator.com. We're coming to you this week with a very special program to cover the Up Here Festival that is going on this weekend in downtown Sudbury. So we just wrapped our first interview of the show with Johanna Westby. You can catch her mural downtown on the Van Horn Fire Station. She's been working very diligently on it. When we recorded this was Thursday, so really excited to see the final product. Right now, I hope you are all excited for Up Here because it has finally arrived. There's lots of events for you to check out. Now, if you haven't already meandered your way downtown, there was this afternoon from 5 to 7, there is the Northern Series. So this is a free series from 5 to 7 on each day of the festival with featuring different artists different emerging artists that you should know about. So today there was Ocean City Defender at the Townhouse, Melody McIver at Little Montreal, and there's lots more to check out tonight for sure, so keep an eye out for that. So a few things that you can keep an eye out for. We've got our big headliners, of course, Daniel Lanois, Venetian Snares. If you've checked out their lineup of locations they're going to for this tour, they're going to places like London, Paris, Berlin, Sudbury. So we're pretty lucky to have such a prolific bunch of names coming to our city. So definitely check that out. We're going to play some music actually here from some of our performers. So Venetian Snares, Daniel Lanois, you can check that show up. We'll be at the Grand starting at 8 o'clock, running till approximately 11:30, but you just never know what Up Here has up their sleeves. Opening will be also McLean and Joanne Pollock. So we're going to play a few songs from some of the performers that are playing tonight. Make sure as well that you have the Up Here app downloaded on your phone, so in case you miss, so you have no excuses for missing any surprises they might throw your way. And hey, Sunday, there's a mystery tour going on. Are you down for some mystery and intrigue? Make your way to the Dome near the YMCA front entrance on Sunday for 12:30. That's Sunday, August 19th for 12:30. There will be a bus whisking you away to some land unknown. We have been very curious about this. We've come up with a few outlandish, you could say, schemes of what we think what we think they might be up to. You check out ourcrater.com. That's OURCRATER. You can see what we got up to. Ramsey carts, a glass elevator in the smokestack. We got a little crazy with these ones, so we are definitely ready for the suspense to end as soon as Sunday rolls around. Alright, so let's get into our lineup of music here. So we've got a few tunes for you to check out, performers that you can see later on this evening. So we have Best by Daniel Lanois and Venetian Snares, Never Be New by Joanne Pollock, and Genie by Donzel, and On Me by The Sorority. And we'll be back in a moment. Thanks for tuning in to Crater Conversations presented by Our Crater. We can't play the music right here, but check out below for the link to this week's playlist, as well as all the links you need for this week's guest. Make sure you're subscribed to Our Crater on all your feeds. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under Our Crater, and use the hashtag Our Crater to be featured. Hey, welcome back to CKLU 96.7. This is Jessica reporting from Our Crater with a special episode of Crater Conversations for Up Here Festival. So that was our first section of music. We just wrapped a few of the performers that you can check out this evening. The first up, we had Best by Daniel Lanois and Venetian Snares, and Never Be New by Joanne Pollock. You can catch that show this evening starting at 8 o'clock at the Grand, going until approximately about 11:30-ish. After that, we had Genie by Donzel and On Me by The Sorority. You can catch that show tonight at the Durham Social starting at 11 o'clock going until 2 a.m. Make sure you have the Up Here app downloaded on your favorite mobile device on either App Store or Google Play to make sure that you're getting news first, to make sure that you know if there's any tricks or surprises the Up Here staff have up their sleeves. So the fun's going all weekend long. So tomorrow we've got free family fun day. So that's going to be downtown at Memorial Park. That is presented by Downtown Sudbury in partnership with the Greater Sudbury Public Library. Lots of fun, family-friendly programming in the park. There's all sorts of fun activities to take part in. There's going to be slacklining. There's going to be coding, giant bubbles, memory flashcards. There's going to be a Downtown Sudbury art crawl. There's going to be lots of fun stuff. As well, there's going to be performers downtown. There will be Random Recipe, Debbie Tebbs, White Hot, Ocean Defender. Lots of stuff to check out for sure. As well, you'll be able to take a wander around the downtown core, check out all the freshly painted murals on our walls, and see what they've been working on all week. All right, so let's change the tone a little bit, something a little more serious. One of the things that Up Here really wants to make sure is that everybody feels safe and has a great time at the festival. And it really should be an expectation when you go to a festival like this that everybody should be kind and respectful of each other, and that people shouldn't be out there, trying to give people a hard time. Unfortunately, the reality is that there are people out there with bad intentions. It's important for people to be aware and know what steps they can take to prevent these kind of things from happening. So one of the things that Up Here has instated to be proactive in this regard is a partnership with Voices for Women, which is a Sudbury, which is a sexual assault access and resource center in Sudbury, to train their staff and their volunteers in security on signs to look out for somebody in distress, things to keep an eye out for, how to safely intervene, exactly what bystander intervention and consent mean. So very heavy topics, but definitely something that everybody needs to discuss. So Karen Strain from Voices for Women was very kind to sit down with us for a few minutes. So we're going to go into that interview now. One of the guests that we have for this week's show, who is going to be helping facilitate a very important role over the festival, is Karen Strain from Voices for Women. So Karen, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So to start things off, can you tell me a little bit about Voices for Women and the services that you guys offer to Sudburyans?
So Voices for Women is a sexual assault center here in Sudbury. We service women 16 and older who have experienced historical sexual assault, offer workshops and therapeutic groups and individual counseling, and we also have some drop-in groups that people can attend for wellness. And in addition to that, we have a library, and we run various programs and events throughout the year and get involved in different campaigns.
So over Up Here Festival, you guys are going to be filling a very particular role over the festival to make sure that everybody is being respectful. So can you give us some more information about that?
Yeah, so we were approached by Up Here Fest to do a bystander intervention and to do some education around sexual assault and consent. So we are conducting that training to help the staff and volunteers and security just become more aware, so that to ensure they're not being passive bystanders, and give them some tips and tools to kind of intervene and help keep the event as safe as possible.
Mm-hmm. So when you use the term passive bystander, so how would you describe that?
So part of sexual violence education and prevention is about, encouraging people to get involved, and that we all play a role in helping prevent and educating people. So when you're being a passive bystander, you're taking the role of, it's not my problem, it's not my position, I don't want to get involved. Those kind of things are common things that we hear from people. There's been research in Ottawa recently that has recognized that 26% increase of hospital admissions following a mass gathering. That's kind of prompted agencies and different programs to recognize that this is an issue, and it is something that's needed to help, bring awareness to events and festivals and concerts, that there needs to be more education on how to intervene and how to help your fellow concert goers be safe.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, when you hear like a statistic like 26%, it's like all you can do is figure out how you can be proactive and help avoid these situations. Right. Nobody wants their event or their festival to be an unsafe place for people to enjoy themselves, right?
Right.
What are some things that you should be looking out for if you're at the festival, looking out for somebody that might be in some sort of distress?
So we like to say that obviously being aware of what the risks are is important, but also using your own judgment when you notice something doesn't seem right, that that one small action of maybe becoming involved or more curious to get involved can make a huge difference for somebody. So it's more of, let's not wait until something bad happens, but intervene prior to. Mm-hmm. So we can use the acronym CARE, which, is a concept of something easy to remember, but CARE is to, first thing, create a distraction. So that means you can approach somebody, ask them where the washroom is, ask them, hey, could you help me find this? Create a space for somebody to tell you they're not safe, or remove them from that situation. Maybe it's, somebody harassing them, or, hey, do you want to go for a walk with me? A is, ask directly. You can go to somebody and say, hey, do you need help? Is there something going on here? Ask the question.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. Do you need some help? I see things are a little,
Yeah.
And then you can, if you're feeling like that's not your thing, you're not really comfortable, go to somebody who is comfortable, somebody that is comfortable to intervene, the security team, a volunteer at the festival, and just say, hey, I'm not sure what's going on over here, but it's not feeling great, so I'd like somebody to follow it up. Mm. And then E is enlist help. If you can't, ask other people to go with you. Point out to your friends that, maybe did you see that over there? Maybe we could go and, enlist other people. Because part of bystander apathy is that everybody kind of takes a step back and assumes somebody else will address it or, don't want to get involved or whatever the case may be. But like I said, it's just that one small action of, recognizing and asking a question that can make a world of difference for somebody who's in a potentially unsafe situation.
Yeah. So those are some great ways that if you notice something that doesn't seem right, that you can, as a bystander, intervene on somebody's behalf. So let's say that you are the victim and you are not feeling safe, let's say, to reach out. Do you have any advice on, as somebody who's needing the support to reach out, that they could, or how they could reach out for help?
Well, I think that it's always important for people to remember if somebody comes to them who has been assaulted or in a situation that's made them afraid, to actually take it seriously and believe them. The other piece to that is to reassure them and let them know that, whatever has happened, that you would be there to, help them and that it's not their fault. Another important piece is to know your resources and to how to get somebody help and what resources are available to people, just not brushing it off and saying, oh, it'll be fine. That we're being respectful of their wishes and just giving them that support. I think maybe what I would add to that end piece, and certainly here in Sudbury, if somebody has been assaulted, they can present to the hospital to our violence intervention and prevention program, which handles the acute sexual assaults. And that basically means that if you're going in and presenting at the hospital after being assaulted, that you can you'll be seen by one of our VIP nurses within an hour, half an hour to an hour. It reduces the wait time and emerge. They have a room where they can take you and you have some privacy, and somebody will see you right away, and that we have counselors that will follow up to help support people.
Great. So do you have any tips that you would advise some festival or concert goers to stick to make sure that they have a great experience?
Like I said, I think it's important for people to have just general awareness when you're out in large crowds that, things can happen as far as things being put in drinks, or when there's maybe alcohol and drug use being used, that, staying as a group and, being aware of kind of isolated corners and blind spots and things like that, and just stick with your friends and stick with the people you trust and just be mindful. But I think more importantly, if we're all being mindful of each other and creating a safer place for everybody by just not being that passive bystander and speaking up and protecting each other as best as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, welcome back to CKLU 96.7. This is your host, Jess, for Creator Conversations, presented by our creator. We are back in the studio after a short conversation with Karen Strain from Voices for Women, which is a sexual assault resource and advocacy center here in Sudbury. They provide all sorts of important resources to victims of sexual assault. So if you find yourself in such a situation, definitely feel free and encouraged to reach out to them. Now, that's also not to say that that is an exclusively female problem. Of course, men are not exempt from that issue. If you do find that yourself in that situation, there are resources out there as well. I contact Health Sciences North to see how they can assist you in whatever way that you need. The bottom line here, guys, is everybody remember to just be safe, be kind, and look out for each other. We're all just here trying to celebrate everything we love about our small city. So one of the programs we were talking about earlier in the hour is the Northern Series, which is a great initiative that Up Here Festival takes on where they set up throughout multiple venues northern artists that they think you should know about that are emerging in the scene in intimate venues from 5 to 7 each day of the festival. So coming up, we have some songs from a few of the artists that we're performing today from 5 to 7 for the Northern Series. So there's Biz Hig by Melody McIver, Movement by Ocean City Defender, as well at the same during the same time slot. There is a album release from Tommy and the Commies, who performed for the very first time at Up Here, as well as White Hot, another local act. So Melody McIver was the first of those artists. She was performing 5 to 7 at the Little Montreal. She is an Anishinaabe multidisciplinary artist from Sioux Lookout. She is a viola performer. She does sort of this cool loop pedal stuff. So if you missed out on that, you can definitely look her up online, find more tracks from her. There's also Ocean City Defender. They're a synth pop duo from Thunder Bay, Ontario. If you missed them today, they are also performing tomorrow for the Free Family Fun Day at Memorial Park. That is Saturday, August 18th from starting approximately 12 o'clock. So check that show out for sure. Tommy and the Commies. This is a Sudbury-born act. They describe themselves as hooligan punk. Well, you'll hear for yourself. So they just are about to launch into a European tour. Before they hit the road, they are doing a special advance album release party with us. And then to finish that off, we have another track from White Hot, another local act. They are performing at Memorial Park tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, so make sure you check that out. So we're going to be doing songs from those 4 artists. We've got Bass Hig by Melody McIver, Movement by Ocean City Defender, Devices by Tommy and the Commies, and Shades by White Hot. Thanks for tuning in to Creator Conversations presented by Our Creator. We can't play the music right here, but check out below for the link to this week's playlist, as well as all the links you need for this week's guest. Make sure you're subscribed to Our Creator on all your feeds. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under Our Creator, and use the hashtag Our Creator to be featured. Hey, welcome back to CKLU. This is another episode of Creator Conversations with a very special edition of Up Here coverage. So we just played a few of the acts that you could have caught over the weekend. So first up, we had Bass Hig by Melody McIver, Movement by Ocean City Defender, and Devices by Tommy and the Commies, as well as Shades by White Hot. So Melody McIver as well as Ocean City Defender were part of the Northern Series. Both of them performed 5 to 7 o'clock this afternoon. Melody right now, no other scheduled appearances, but key word here, scheduled. So make sure you've got the Up Here app, because who knows? Ocean City Defender, though, if you missed your chance today at 5 o'clock to check them out, you can check them out tomorrow at the Free Family Fun Day. They will be performing at noon. Tommy and the Commies, that was another one of the acts that we had. They came together at one of the first festivals, and now they are about to hit the road and release their first album and go travel across Europe. So who says Up Here doesn't take you places? Then our last song was Shades by White Hot. So White Hot, you might have caught them yesterday afternoon, Thursday afternoon, a nice little lunchtime surprise kickoff. The White Hot was performing in the alley between Oscars and Durham Social yesterday afternoon. If you had the Up Here app, you would have heard about it. Have you gotten the hint yet? You should download that app. But you can catch them. If you missed them, you can catch them again tomorrow at the Free Family Fun Day. They are performing at 1 o'clock at Memorial Park. If you're downtown tomorrow and you're looking for a few fun things to do, there's going to be definitely lots and lots and lots of stuff for you to check out. But one thing that is maybe not always talked about a festival experience is crowd anxiety. And this is something that Up Here has decided to address. So they have partnered with NISA, so that is Northern Initiative for Social Action, to provide drone therapy by Bridget Bordont. So you can check that out on NISA's Facebook page for more information. But drop by whenever you like on Saturday, August 18th. The performance will be going from 1 to 3, 6 to 8. This is the Dr. Phil of Up Here with live therapy and drone music. So basically, if you're feeling like you're having issues with the crowd, if it's really getting to you, you can go go have a chat, go take a relax, have a nap even, maybe listen to some drone music. You know, it's a great excuse also if you're overheated to get out of the sun. So check that out if you're inclined at all, for sure. So a few of the shows coming up this evening, there is Venetian Snares and Daniel Lanois. They're performing at the Grand. That's with locals McLean and Joanne Pollock. You can catch that show from 8 till 11:30. There's also one show that personally I'm pretty excited to check out, starting at 11 o'clock, going till 2 a.m. at the Durham Social. So that's upstairs at Respect is Burning. There is the Sorority and Donzel, so get excited for that one. All-girl hip-hop group. Sounds rad. There's also a lineup at the Townhouse starting at 11, going till 2 a.m. There's Mono, Victime, and Boyhood performing. So check those out as well. We'll be playing some music from them later on in our segment. So fun fact, Creator Conversations, we've been on the air for almost a year now. We started about October, I believe, 2017. But the whole radio show was actually conceived over up here, year 3, 2017. Here we are. It's been a while. We've interviewed several of your favorite Sudburyans. We've gotten to know all sorts of different people from all sorts of different avenues throughout our city, from actors, from musicians, business owners. It's really been a wide variety, and so it's been really amazing, so fun to get to know all these different Siberians and their different personalities and the things that they love about our home. One of the people that we interviewed early on was Sean McLaren. So Sean McLaren, you might recognize his name from Aunt Zelda. You also might recognize him from his stand-up, but he's been working very, very hard on this film project that is yet to be released, but it should be released very soon. THC Positive. So this is a very entirely Sudbury-born production, written by Sudburyans, produced here, cast with several local actors, filmed here, everything. THC Positive is a vampire stoner comedy, so a really unique idea. All of it was filmed around the Sudbury area, so you can see all sorts of familiar locations. But Sean, at the very one of the very first shows, was kind enough to sit down with us. We talked a lot about THC Positive, but we also talked to him a lot about his attitude about living in our city and his he has this very, I'm going to just go out and do it kind of attitude, which is something that we love about Sudburyans, and that I feel, I might be a little biased, that Sudburyans really have down pat. So let's head right into that interview there and speak with Sean and hear all about what he's up to. So Sean, first of all, what is your connection to Sudbury? Did you grow up here? Did you move here?
Yeah, no, I grew up here all my life. I'm a West End kid. I grew up on Victoria Street, and then I moved away for a little while. Got out to Manitoulin Island. That's as far as I got. But yeah, I lived there for a couple of years doing radio, and then came back home to work at Kicks about 6 years ago, and now I've been back, and ultimately stuck around because the film industry was happening in town, and all of a sudden I moved back to my hometown, and they're making movies here, which I never thought would happen. So yeah, I ended up working for Cinefest and Music Film and Motion. That's my first full-time gig, trying to promote the film industry and music and cultural stuff up here. And in the meantime, kind of latched on to some friends who wanted to make movies, and yeah, so yeah, Sudbury all my life. That's how it goes. I dig this town. It's got potential.
Just hometown boy.
Yeah,
can't keep it away.
Well, my family's here, and then I went around, I fooled around and fell in love, as the song goes, and now my family's here, so I like it. You can make do with what you got, and you make the best of what you got.
The thing I love about Sudbury is that I always say Sudbury is kind of like a sandbox.
Yeah.
It's like if you think that you want to do it, you can figure out a way to do it, and someone will support you in it.
And that's the cool part. I mean, a lot of people feel you have to, and I was the mentality too, that I had to go to Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal to make all these dreams come true. And yeah, perhaps there's more opportunity there. There's more, especially for stand-up comedy. There's more rooms. There's more of a community. But managed to do it here and still have fun with it and make a little bit of money and still have, it's nice to see something grow as opposed to going down to try and join another team, you know?
Mm-hmm. So you seem to juggle a lot of different plates. You're involved with tons of different projects. You're obviously heavily involved in the comedy scene. You work with Cinefest and Laugh Out Loud. You perform all the time as Aunt Zelda for Dirty Bingo. And you even bartend over DQs.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of juggle all these different things?
The hustle is strong. Well, first off, I mean, like, yeah, everybody asks me, like, they think to be busy for busy's sake isn't a good thing, you know? You could hustle and you could be productive, but if you're just running around frantically, then you're not really getting anything done. I think as a kid, I should have been diagnosed ADHD or ADD. And maybe if they put me on Ritalin, it would have been a totally different story now. But I find that there's so many things that interest me, and I feel like you only have one crack at this go. Henry Rollins said there's no such thing as free time or downtime. There's just lifetime. And I think you kind of have to find the things that make you stoked. I mean, I do burlesque, I do stand-up comedy, I'm dabbling in film. I'm trying to... I don't know, try to get my creativity out there, or at the very least use that and do something with it before I run out of time, you know?
Yeah, well, kind of speaking of the whole kind of idea of undiagnosed ADD or whatever, right?
Mm.
Like, it's kind of interesting when you meet people that in adult life that are kind of like, maybe I should have been diagnosed with something, but have kind of managed to find a way to, like, harness into something productive.
And that's,
like, I have all this extra energy, so I'm going to, like, devote that to, like, other projects and other things I'm interested in.
I think that's a good thing. I think frankly, you know, that's how those types of diagnoses, if you can, should be channeled, you know? Like, I'll never forget my math. In high school, I'm a horrible math student. I can't do math, and I love the fact that we have calculators in our pockets on our phones, because it just
saves you the embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where I want to go back in time to my grade 9 math class and be like, yes, we will have calculators at all times, so it's okay. I don't need to know this. But my world studies teacher, Mr. Morris, and always used to say, you know, if you can't do math, don't do math. You know, and what that basically meant is, like, find what works for you and try and channel it into that. So I managed to find it through writing, through English, through that kind of stuff, through the arts. You know, film always fascinated me. Making people laugh always fascinated me because I was the fat kid growing up. You know, you had to, you know, make them laugh before they laughed at you. So now it's just channeled into some pretty fun opportunities. Like now I'm, you know, for a kid from a small town, I'm very thankful and fortunate for the experiences I've had and the people I've had a chance to work with in comedy. I've gotten to share the stage with some really funny people and some people who I feel like I'm a peer as opposed to a spectator, which is nice.
Yeah, so it's like nice kind of to feel part of a community, because there is such a small crowd that are working on a lot of these projects you're working on, right? So you really kind of get to know who you're working with, each other's strengths and weaknesses, what you can kind of both handle.
Well, and it's kind of awesome because, you know, especially in Sudbury, and people talk about this a lot, like the people who do Up Here, or the bands that are around town, the artists who do the murals, who, you know, or even burlesque, all the dancers and the singers and the actors who kind of come to that. There's these kind of projects or these kind of things are possible in Sudbury because there's a lot of other people who are just as passionate as you are, and if you find your tribe, you know. I always say, you know, awesome gravitates towards the awesome, you know. I don't necessarily believe in The Secret or all that kind of jazz, but I think a positive attitude and a clear goal of what you want to do or how you want to do it, you'll start attracting people who want to do it. That's what happened with THC, and that's what happens with a lot of these ideas, that, you know, people who are just as equally as stoked as you will find you if you have a good idea. You know, and that's what kind of happens in Sudbury. That's what I like to see right now, because there's so many talented people who are looking for things to do. All it takes is something to rally behind, and 9 times out of 10 you come and are able to accomplish it.
And it's the best thing when it's kind of like a clandestine group that kind of all come together under a common goal, and just kind of, it's like fate.
Well, yeah, you could call it that. You could call it kismet. You could call it whatever you want. Like, I mean, for instance, with THC, like I had minimal experience working in Sudbury. I think a lot of people who who are working in the film industry. At the beginning, I remember it was Météo Plus was the TV show. It was a French TV show about a weather station, and I managed to get onto that show as a camera trainee, and I was out of radio. I was doing trying to figure something out. I didn't speak French, and they hired me, and it was my first time on a film set. So I had done, small jobs in films, from, just set PAs to production assistants, things like that, but got a very cool vibe of it and started meeting crew from Sudbury who were very passionate. I met our cinematographer, Matt Seguin, who's now over at the American Film Institute in LA in the cinematography program. I mean, it's the most prestigious film school in the world, and to see a kid from Sturgeon Falls who's just passionate about what he does make it all the way to that was really inspiring. To be working with a guy like that on our first feature film, which we had no idea how to do. We just knew how to work these jobs in the film industry. We had a great set of grip and electrics. We had an incredible sound team. We had makeup and hair artists who get paid good money to do what they do professionally, and they just took their summer vacation to do it for us for free. That to me was a really humbling and awesome experience, because our director Will Andrews, he and co-writer too. I mean, he came up with this idea about pot smoking vampires, and it just crystallized into this script that people actually said, "Fuck it, we'll be." I don't know if I can swear. Excuse me, but we said
I can edit in post.
Okay,
that's
great,
fine.
Awesome. By the way,
all you want.
There's swearing in the movie. We managed to get this team together to do it and make it, and that to me says something really kind of indicative of Sudbury, is that there are a lot of very passionate, creative people who want to see stuff happen here. So sometimes you just have to go out and do it, and it's possible here, which is awesome.
Yeah. So kind of because we've already talked about THC Positive a little bit, that's a project you've been working on for a while now. So
yeah.
Can you kind of tell us about just the kind of the basic concept of the movie?
Sure. So, I mean, the whole notion is it's a horror comedy. It's got a little bit of romance, got a little bit of scariness, got some action, hopefully a lot of laughs. But it's all about Doug and Chuck, and I played Doug, who's a bit of a slacker. Works at the townhouse, doesn't really have any goals and ambition in life. All he likes to do is just sit on the couch and get stoned with his best friend Chuck, who happens to be a 400-year-old vampire. And they like to watch horror movies all night. One day I lose my job and need to make a little bit of money, and we stumble into the world of selling high blood to vampires. Sounds ridiculous, and it is, but it's
just ridiculous enough to work.
I think so, and I think when we pitched the idea, Will had never smoked weed in his entire life, so he came up to us and he's like, "I just see in my head this picture of a guy sitting on a couch. He takes a bong hit, hands his wrist over to his friend. His friend bites his wrist, and they're both stoned now." And I'm like, "That's ridiculous. Luckily, we smoke weed. We can help you." So we helped him, and we ended up writing the script, and it was my first script writing credit. And it was, again, because I'd been writing all my life but never knew how to channel it. To have a friend and to have a collaborator who I just met and just got me stoked about kicking it into high gear and made me write with him.
Welcome back to CKLU 96.7. This is your host, Jess, for Creator Conversations by Our Creator. So this hour we've been giving you all sorts of updates on what's going on for Up Here Festival. One of the things, though, that Up Here Festival is all about is celebrating Sudbury, and we've taken it a little step further to celebrate Sudburyans. So you just heard an interview with Sean McLaren. He is a comedian, an actor, a writer, all-around stand-up guy, burlesque performer even, from the Sudbury area. We talked to him about a project that he's been working on for quite a while, THC Positive, completely Sudbury conceived, written, read, raised, everything else production. It is a stoner vampire comedy. So we're really excited to see that. the road. I hear the end of the road is near, so hopefully we'll get to see that before too long. But hey, how about some music? We're going to go into a few of the performers that you can catch tonight. So first up, we're going to play a few tracks from this show. It's coming up tonight, starting at 11 o'clock, going until 2 a.m. at the Townhouse. We have Moano, Victime, and Boyhood. Boyhood is an alt-pop act from Ottawa. Victime describes themselves as acid punk on a bed of 90s nostalgia. That sounds pretty fun. And then there's Moano. That is an act from Halifax. They're an indie pop. They say they got their name, ironically, naming it after one of the band members' unmusical Finnish grandfather. So, hey, you know, everything's got a backstory. We're rounding out the end of this set of music with some performers that you can catch tomorrow at the Free Family Fun Day. So first up is Debbie Tebbs. Looking for a fun party time? Look no further, Debbie Tebbs is here. Half retro, half futuristic, all up here. Last is Random Recipe. You can catch them as well at the Free Family Fun Day in Memorial Park. They're performing at 3 o'clock. They describe themselves as folk, hip-hop, groovy pop. So they've been a lot of fun to start listening to as we've been preparing for the festival. Super excited to see them. So let's head into our music here. So we have Drivin' by Boyhood, Fatigue by Victime, Hand by Moano, Chrome by Debbie Tebbs, and Fight the Feeling by Random Recipe. Thanks for tuning in to Creator Conversations presented by Our Creator. We can't play the music right here, but check out below for the link to this week's playlist, as well as all the links you need for this week's guest. Make sure you're subscribed to Our Creator on all your feeds. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under Our Creator, and use the hashtag Our Creator to be featured. Welcome back again to CKLU 96.7. This is Jess from Creator Conversations, your host from Our Creator. Today we've been in the studio doing a special 2-hour Up Here special. We've been telling you all sorts of information about the festival and catching you up on all the acts that you can see over the weekend. Head down straight to Durham Street. Up Here Festival is bringing back the Dome. If you missed it last year just as much as we did, it is back in action. There are going to be DJs spinning tracks underneath all night long on the weekend. There's also going to be an outdoor bar. You can get your very own Up Here Stein. Save 50 cents a drink with your Up Here mug. There's going to be Up For, a pale ale from Stack Brewery that will be on site is a special custom beverage as well. Keep your eye out for a feature cocktail, the All-Seeing Eye, that will be available over the festival. There's going to be all sorts of fun things to check out. We can't wait to see you at the festival. And hey, if you've enjoyed the show today, remember Creator Conversations presented by Our Creator. You can catch us every Tuesday, 5 to 6, where we talk to different Sudburyans about their interests, their hobbies, and get to know them. Make sure you're following Our Creator on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook for updates on what we're doing all the time. As well, particularly this weekend, watch out on Instagram for our updates on our Instagram story as we explore the festival along with you. One of our favorite things about Up Here Festival is seeing our city get completely beautified with all of the new murals, and we are so excited to check them out. I don't know if you've seen the Heart of Gold one that you can see on Larch Street. There's ones all over downtown that you'll find as you go. I haven't discovered them all myself yet, so really fun to find those as you walk around. And don't forget as well, Johanna Westby, who we spoke to earlier in our show. She is the artist behind the mural that you will see on the Van Horn Fire Station. So check that out once you drive by. You can also see all throughout downtown another evolution of the Power Up project. There were a bunch of new power boxes added to our downtown core. So you'll see those popping up nice and colorful in our landscape. It's really exciting to see them coming, and even some from last year that I kind of have been running into throughout the downtown that I didn't even know about. So I hope you join us in searching for them all. And with that, let's get into our last segment of music here. So we've got a few tracks coming up from artists that you can check out Saturday and Sunday of the festival. So first up is Patrick Watson, singer-songwriter from Montreal, Quebec, Polaris Prize winning musical mad scientist. Really excited to see him. Jeremy Dutcher, he is a neoclassical musician from New Brunswick. He is performing alongside wax cylinder recordings from an almost lost language. It's really exciting stuff that he's working on, a really interesting project. Paleta, they are techno house punk from Montreal, Quebec. Chandra, a performer that's just about as New York as it gets. And we're going to end that all with Toronto R&B artist Charlotte Day Wilson, who we're really excited to see at the festival. We've been eagerly anticipating her. Really excited to finally catch her performance on a Sunday night as the closing headliner of the festival. So without further ado, let's set you into our last section of music for the night. That is The Great Escape by Patrick Watson, Alta Stackham by Jeremy Dutcher, Feminine Masculine by Blue Nuit, No Hey by Paleta, Subways 1980 by Chandra, After All by Charlotte Day Wilson. And remember all, have a great Up Here festival!